you don't care about climate change. If you go to Google and search, what is climate change, you find is the increase of temperature around the world. But how does it originate? Really, you want to know? Okay, here we go. Temperature rise is brought about thanks to the increase in greenhouse gases, a process in which the thermal radiation emitted by the Earth remains trapped in the atmosphere due to gases with the same effect, but they exist in large part because of the human being and his tragedies that he made in the world. In these images we can see how the human being has destroyed all these ecosystems. Thanks to global warming, climate change is happening, but what can we do? But the fear no longer works. Even if you see these terrible images, you don't feel anything. But what is destroying ecosystems? Forest fires. As temperatures rise due to global warming in warm places where there is forest, they can start sudden fires. Melting of the poles. With global warming, the oceans with temperatures higher are oceans that melt the ice of the polar caps, raising sea level and extinguishing animals that live in those regions. Since we started recording, the trend is clear. Every time makes more heat. Climate change, no, you can avoid. Let's go back a bit in the video. It operates a Spanish infrastructure company, which uses renewable energy. It has a presence in 65 countries on 5 continents. Tell me, have you seen the news lately?
And of the record high temperatures in rainforest fires, the red areas
extremas podrían convertirse en lo normal, creando para el planeta entero una verdadera emergencia climática.
Which is overwhelming. There is never good news. Only graphics that are increasingly red and aggressive. Horrible records are broken almost every year, from extreme heat waves to the fastest melting of glaciers. It is endless and does not stop. We have known for decades that abrupt climate change is caused by the emission of greenhouse gases. But instead of reducing them in 2019, 50% more CO2 was emitted than in 2000, and emissions continue to grow. Why? Why is it so difficult to just stop giving off these gases? Number 1, the size of the population. People need food, shelter, and clothing. And they also want luxury products, from iPhones to super cheap hamburgers. More people have higher CO2 emissions. The world population is growing, and according to the United Nations, it will level out at 11 billion in 2100, which is 40% more than today. Number 2, economic growth. I do not know it is only about numbers. The richer and more developed, the more emissions our lifestyle produces. Economic growth has produced the highest standards of living and the greatest reduction in extreme poverty in humanity's history. But we are still a long way off. As a consequence of this growth, CO2 emissions will increase. The opposite of what should happen. Without new technologies and innovation, it will be impossible for CO2 emissions to be zero. But innovation takes years, decades. We don't have that much time. How we keep adding more carbon to the atmosphere year after year, more we will be able to compensate for economic growth and population growth. And understand the needs of billions of people and the fact that fossil fuels are now in the majority. It is not an overnight change, but we must address it as quickly as possible, and it is still achievable.
se interese de verdad, nada va a mejorar, jamás.